What's up, y'all? Eric Holder. Eric Holder was in court yesterday morning, and I'm just tapping in to provide an update on what happened on November 3rd during his sentencing. So let's just double check the audio here. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, and then we'll get this show on the road. I see there's about 61 people up in here, so let me get a few thumbs up just to make sure you guys could hear me. Clear, good. All right. Sounds good. All right, so Eric Holder was in court yesterday morning to get sentenced for being found guilty on the first-degree murder of Nipsey Hussle and the attempted voluntary manslaughter against Shermai Villanueva and against Carrie Latham. Attempted voluntary manslaughter. That's what the jury concluded when they were deliberating on his guilt for those two victims. Now, the prosecution actually wanted the jury to come to the conclusion of first-degree attempted murder against Carrie Latham and Shermai Villanueva. He wanted first degree across the board for all three of them. First degree murder against Nipsey, first degree attempted murder against Shermai, and first degree attempted murder against Carrie Latham. So the jury actually did not agree with the first degree attempted murder against the other two. They also had the choice to find him guilty of a lesser included offense, which was attempted voluntary manslaughter. And that's what they did. They found Eric Holder guilty of attempted voluntary manslaughter against the other two. And they found him guilty, obviously, of first degree murder against Nipsey. So on November 3rd, he filed a motion to say that the jury came to an inconsistent verdict. And I'll briefly explain what they're going at here. If you believe that it was first degree against all three victims, this is what they're going to argue on December 1st of 2022. If you believe it's first degree against all three, that would be consistent. But if you come to the conclusion that it's first degree murder against Nipsey Hussle, but then it's attempted voluntary manslaughter against the other two, then that's where the inconsistent verdict is. So it's just maybe a legal loophole that the defense is trying to argue. And we'll find out on December 1st of the conclusion of that argument. So they're going to present that argument to the judge. And of course, the prosecutor, John McKinney, he's going to have a rebuttal argument saying that, and I'm paraphrasing, well, I'm speculating what John McKinney is going to say, but he's basically going to say that you have to start off with at least a first degree and let the jury decide whether or not they want to go with the first degree or go with a lesser included offense. And just because they found him guilty of first degree against Nipsey does not mean it's possible that the jury could also agree that it was attempted voluntary manslaughter against the other two. So what do y'all think about that? How do you think that argument is going to pan out on December 1st when the defense attorneys argue that? And basically the hope for the defense is that the judge will agree with the defense and then just find him guilty of the manslaughter, the voluntary manslaughter, rather than the first degree murder. And then that will, of course, have an impact on his sentence. And then if whatever they decide on December 1st, then on December 19th, Eric Holder should be finally sentenced. I know he was supposed to get sentenced on September 15th, and then he was supposed to get sentenced on November 3rd. But it looks like they're going to argue what they're going to argue on December 1st, and then whatever the conclusion is to those arguments, December 19th, Eric Holder will finally be sentenced in this case. So that's all I wanted to come on live and explain what happened in court yesterday. If you got any questions, let me see if there's any questions in here. And the system screwed him. I don't know what you mean by that. Go ahead and accept his fate. I mean, if you're a defendant and you're looking at 25 years, 50 years, 75 years, you know you're going to prison. Why not take advantage of any legal argument that you have to try to reduce your sentence and get a penalty that is not as severe as the prosecution wants to give? I have no problem with someone trying to take advantage of any loophole in the system. I've seen a couple cases before where I've thought the verdict was inconsistent, where I was like, how did y'all find him guilty of this and then find him guilty of something else? It's kind of inconsistent, but I've never heard of a sentence or a conviction being reduced because of that. So they're going to ask the judge, can we reduce this conviction from first degree all the way down to manslaughter? And that means skipping second degree. So can you change this verdict from first degree murder, pass up second degree murder, and go all the way down to voluntary manslaughter? Whew. We'll find out on December 1st what happens. Oh, there goes Conspiracy Thug. Conspiracy Thug thought that Bernita Nicholson was a female gang member from the Hoovers. And I just want to make sure everyone knows, because I don't know if you're still spreading that, Conspiracy Thug, but Bernita Nicholson has no affiliation with any gang. Those rumors about a female being from Hoover turned out to be a different female. None of the Hoovers saying that she's a part of the gang. And I don't even know if that conspiracy theory is even floating around. But nah, she's not affiliated with any gang whatsoever. Stall him out. Conspiracy Thug said, stall me out. Hey, you went so hard at me regarding this woman's gang affiliation. And I'm like, what is it based on? But nah, it's untrue. 1000% untrue. I tried to tell bro that back in July. But he was adamant that it was, some truth to it. But nah. Dark Universe said Cam had me sounding crazy. Yeah, Cam throws out a whole lot of questions that has nothing to do with the topic and tries to put you in a twist. Got to talking about white people, where do they come from, and oh, okay. Conspiracy Thug says he is acknowledging that he was not correct on that. Is the public defender doing all that? I'm not sure what you mean by doing all that, but Eric Holder is defended by a public defender. His name is Aaron Jansen, and he's filing the motions on behalf of his client, as any defense attorney should do. I'm sure if you was in this situation, you'd want your defense attorney to fight for you as much as they can. So, will Eric have contact with other prisoners? Eric will definitely have contact with other prisoners once he gets to state prison. And if he does get sentenced on December 19th, He will catch a chain to the state prison reception within 30 days. We'll say, let's say January 19th. I believe it's within 30 days. When COVID was going on, catching that chain, it was delayed. Sometimes it would take 60 or 90 days. But I would anticipate that Eric Holder should get to state prison no later than February. February, he should be in state prison, and he will be interacting with other prisoners. Yeah, they have 50-50 yards, so you can't no longer hide in SNY. Yeah, that's true. You're going to go on a 50-50 yard where half the people on the yard are solid and the other half are not solid. But the people on that yard that are solid, their points have come down to a certain area to where they may be on their way home. They don't want to catch any more points, but they must also have level 4 50-50 yards. So I'm not sure. I believe Eric Holder will have to go on a level 4 or a level 3. And I don't know what the 50-50 yards are like on a level 4 prison. So that should be interesting. A level 4 50-50 yard must be crazy. What is the difference between first degree attempted murder and just attempted murder? Well, it's all the same. Attempted murder means it's premeditated. So attempted murder is premeditated, as is murder. First degree. 50-50 yards are SNY. Well, you got 50. I guess you could say 50-50 yards are the new SNY, because the old SNY, everybody on there was either a debriefer or an informant, but now they're mixing them up. So I'm not sure if that's the proper way to characterize a 50-50 yard, calling it an SNY. But yeah, it's kind of new. What do you think will happen on December 1st? Angelica Guzman is asking what will happen on December 1st. Well, Aaron Jansen is going to present a very interesting argument that the jury came back with an inconsistent verdict. He's going to say, hey, Your Honor, the jury found my client guilty of murder against Eric Holder, but they found him guilty of attempted voluntary manslaughter. The prosecution was arguing that all of these were premeditated. The murder against Nipsey and the two shootings against Shermai and Kerry. In the opening statements, the prosecutor did say some terms where he argued that Eric Holder came there to not only kill Nipsey, but he came there to kill the other two, and that he wants them to get to the jury to come to the conclusion for first degree murder against Nip and attempted murder against the other two. And the defense's attorney is going to say, hey, the jury didn't agree with that. The jury didn't agree that it was attempted murder. And then he's going to finalize his argument by saying, if they found him guilty of attempted voluntary manslaughter against the other two, then they have to find him guilty of manslaughter against Nipsey. How can these be manslaughters, but the other one's not a manslaughter? And then, of course, John McKinney's going to come in with the rebuttal, and he's going to say, wait up. The two can both be true. You can have a first-degree murder against person A and an attempted voluntary manslaughter against person B and C. The both can be true. And he's going to give us examples of other cases, maybe pull out some case law. And then the judge is going to go in his chambers. He's going to think about it. He might smoke a cigar and kick his feet up on the table because he's already decided during the arguments what his decision is going to be. He might not even go back in his chambers to give his decision, but I believe the judge is going to say, I'm going to respect the verdict of the jury. Both can be true. And then they're going to wrap it up and come back on December 19th for sentencing. I don't think the judge will change the verdicts of that jury. And if I was using a different program here, I would tap in with a couple of you guys and bring you in on the live here. Twin Cities says, Alex, by the way, thank you for the Eric Holder case. You know, it's been my pleasure covering this case and bringing it to everybody. I just posted video from the hearing on November 3rd. It was very quick. The video is about a minute long. That's all they needed. Eric came in, sat down. They scheduled the dates for the hearing and for the sentencing, and then Eric was gone. That took nothing but a minute. So if you want to check that video out, that's on the platform now. And then I've actually been posting all the exhibits as PDF files. Just go to StreetGangs.com. There'll be an article there with all the PDFs. They're not all in there yet. There's about 30 of them there. I'll have to put up the other 70. Give me a couple of days, but those links will get updated within the next couple of days for anyone that's interested in the exhibits. How's Bloodhound been? I haven't spoke to Bloodhound. I don't even know how long it's been. I think he's been gone for probably 10 years. So it's been that long. Okay, what else we got here? Oh, okay. I thought Austin left a comment for someone else. Where is Eric being held? High power or deuced up? I believe I don't know exactly where Eric Holder's being held, but from the looks of it during trial, he was in high power in a single man cell. I believe all the cells no. I believe all the cells in high power are single men. They might have 2-man cells in high power. Someone who's been there can correct me on that. But yeah. I got warrants. Can I go to the sentencing without getting in trouble? James Mikes asked, yeah, you could walk right in the court, sit down. They don't do any background check. You do go through security to make sure you don't have any weapons, but other than that, I mean, you could be wanted. You could be wanted by the FBI. They're not gonna know that unless they got the memo. But no, you can come into court, sit down, listen, and then leave. If you're gonna come to court on December 1st, and this is for everybody that's interested, I would get there at 8:30, even though the hearing probably won't start till 9. But try to get there at 8:30. Cover Pop Smoke and PNB. Yeah, there's only one adult in custody right now from the Pop Smoke case. The other 2 defendants are minors, and once I figure out who they are and when they're going to court, I'll follow up on that. And then, what was the other case you mentioned? PNB. Oh yeah, that case probably won't go to trial for a year or more. We'll see. We got 100 people up in here. Thanks for tapping in. I was supposed to go live yesterday. I announced I was going to go live yesterday, but got tied up. Is that Eric dude allowed to have family visits? Yeah, he's allowed to have visits. He is definitely allowed to have visits, just like anybody else in the county jail is allowed to have visits. Everyone is allowed to have visits, depending on your status. Some people are allowed visits every day of the week, Monday through Friday. If you're in certain security areas, you might only be allowed visits on Tuesdays and Thursdays because you're a high security inmate. But yeah, everyone's allowed visits. But when you go visit someone in the county jail, though, you're going to be waiting a long time. You're probably going to be sitting in that waiting room for at least 2 hours, hour and a half, maybe if you're lucky. I don't know why they make you wait so long. I don't know why you just can't pull up, sit down, and then you just go get who you're visiting and bring them down. And like, they should be able to bring them down in like 20 minutes. But salute from San Antonio. Was Cowboy there? John James Mikes asked, was Cowboy there during the sentencing on November 3rd? And he was not. It was a very empty courtroom. There was a couple of people that I recognized from the trial that were there. There was at least three, maybe four media. I think I was the fourth one, and there was a couple other people sitting in the back row that I didn't know. So what else? Family visits meaning conjugal. Well, when you say family, you're talking about like wife and kids and all of that. I don't think Eric Holder has neither. I believe conjugal visits are with people that are married. That's why a lot of guys in jail get married to whoever the woman they want to come visit. And certain prisons do allow it. Depends on where he's housed at, where they put him. Yeah, we're not talking about takeoff, so I don't know anything about that takeoff case. I mean, you got enough internet sleuths trying to solve it for you. So go tap into one of those videos. Do I know what prison Eric Holder's going to? Well, he's going to go to reception first. Um, there's about two or three prisons that are reception prisons, and I think Chino's a reception prison. Let's see here. Let me look it up. Well, look, check this out. Out of the 34 prisons, 10 of them are reception. So I'm not sure which one he's going to get sent to, but I'll put a link here, and you can go look at the list of prisons that are reception prisons. OG Steve, what's up? So I just put a link down there. One of those prisons Eric will be at in February. And then from that prison, he'll be sent to another prison where he's going to start doing his time on a regular prison yard. You stay in reception for about 30 days, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Then they assign you to another place, and then you get sent off. So he won't get to his final destination until like March or April, if he is sentenced in December. Yeah, Wasco is on the list. Delano's on that list. So is Donovan. What else is on that list? Kern, San Quentin, CRC, CMC. So yeah, there's quite a few reception centers. Let me also put a I'll put a link to my website that I have posted. I actually posted an article on what happened in court yesterday. You can go read that right here at StreetGangs.com. And I also got all the exhibits right there. Do I think Big Evil will ever be freed? I don't know. I really don't know. Is he still fighting his case? Let me see here. I'm gonna look up something really quickly on Big Evil and see if he's even still fighting his case. You know, this guy's been in the LA County jail for like 10 years, and I'm not exaggerating. If he's still there, let me just look this up really quickly, see if Big Evil is still in the county jail. And Big Evil was on death row for a long time, and then he got off. And it looks like he is still sitting in the Los Angeles County Jail. He's been in the Los Angeles County Jail since January of 2012, fighting this case. And his next court date, well, his last court date was November 18th. Or his next court date is November 18th, I should say. So it all depends on the outcome of this case that he's fighting right now. So I don't know. And this case is from the early 1990s, so they have to retry him on the case that he was sent to death row on. So this he was sent to death row on a case that happened in the 90s. So now the state has to get witnesses. Some of the witnesses are deceased. One of the witnesses that told on him is deceased. I know that. So it's just a mess. And they brought him down from prison in 2012. You would have thought they would have retried him within the next, probably like, let's say in the next 2 or 3 years. And there he is, still sitting there 10 years later in the LA County Jail fighting this case. And y'all thought Eric Holder was waiting a long time. Y'all crazy. The LA County Jail will have you waiting 5 years to go to trial. All right, what else we got here? Wasco houses level fours. I'm not sure, but Wasco is definitely a reception. You can go to Wasco for reception, and the CDC doesn't really tell you the levels of the yards on their prisons if you go to their website, unless they added that in. I don't. Basically, Wasco is a 1,000 bed medium custody facility, houses general population inmates to support and maintain the 4,580 bed reception center. A minimum custody facility provides institutional maintenance and landscaping services. And I thought I heard the camera cut off. All right, I've been on for 30 minutes. Um, I just thought I heard the camera cut off. Were you surprised that the sentencing didn't happen? Yeah, I was surprised. I was ready. I was just like, all right. I'm waiting to find out if the judge. First, I wanted to hear what the prosecution was recommending. The prosecution can recommend what they want Eric Holder to be sentenced to. So I wanted to hear if John McKinney was going to go hard and say, we want him sentenced to the max on everything, which is the five. He got 5 convictions, and if you do the math on all those, if you run everything consecutively, I believe it's like 75 years. So I wanted to find out what was the prosecution recommending he should get, and then what was the judge going to give him. And on the low end, 25 years, in the mid, 50 years, and on the max, 75. So yeah, I was ready to hear what he was going to get, and then it got postponed till December. Well, the sentencing got postponed to December 19th, but they're going to have that hearing on December 1st. So do I have an interview coming up, or had you heard from Melvin Farmer? I haven't spoke to Melvin Farmer in a couple months. Clarissa makes a very good point here. Clarissa Dorcios, gangsters kill all the time for anything, but now people care and think it's messed up because it was a famous rapper. I think Clarissa is 100% correct. We have, 400 homicides a year probably in Los Angeles right now. I haven't I haven't checked the 2021 stats on that. Maybe can someone look up how many homicides did the city of Los Angeles have in 2021? I think it was over 400. So we don't really give the 400 victims that much attention. But yeah, if you're famous, if you got some celebrity, if you're well known, you're gonna get talked about more. Are you and FG going to discuss Kyrie? What's there to discuss about Kyrie? Fill me in. Will you be covering the Pop Smoke and the PNB Rock case? Yes. We'll definitely be covering the Pop Smoke. Definitely be covering that because that trial should be coming up really soon. PNB Rock, that trial won't be happening for a while. So what's up with Kyrie? Very elect asked me, do I think the strategy will be effective in changing the charges to voluntary manslaughter? So you must have just jumped in. Someone just asked me that question. And I don't think that after both sides present their arguments that it's going to move the judge to reduce the verdict from first degree to voluntary manslaughter. I just don't see the judge not respecting the verdict of the jury. And I do believe that both can be true, that one act can be first degree and the other act can be attempted voluntary manslaughter. I believe that both can be true, but we'll find out on December 1st. Have you thought about interviewing Harry O? Yeah, I reached out to Harry O through a mutual friend, and I haven't heard back from him. So if he If he wants to tap in, definitely. What do you think about the Alex Alonso officer account? I haven't seen that account. Is that account even still around? That guy used to be on all my videos, and I don't think that account is around anymore. Do you think Mr. Holder will make a statement? Um, I doubt it. He's not. One thing I learned about Eric Holder during that trial is that he doesn't really express himself a whole lot. He doesn't have a whole lot of emotions, and I would ask somebody that knew him personally, what was his personality like? Was he seemed like he's more of an introvert than an extrovert, just based on the testimony about his relationship with Bernita Nicholson, based on his demeanor in the courtroom. So it doesn't sound like a guy that's going to get up there and make a statement to the judge. He's going to do all of that through his attorney. But we'll find out on December 19th. Rest in peace to the guy from Inglewood. You're talking about a half ounce. His case won't happen for a while too. Well, no one. I'm unaware if anyone was arrested for half ounces murder. Did I miss? Did I miss something? I didn't know. I'm unaware of anyone being arrested on that case. Is it okay to ask what you are recording with him? I'm not sure what you're referring to. This live is very good quality. Well, I'm using a really good camera. I got a really good camera connected to this live, so it should look pretty good. The quality should be good. I don't have a mic connected though, so I'm using the camera mic. I'm not in my studio, so I'm doing this from home, and I don't have all my equipment here at home. I don't have my microphone. I don't have my audio mixer. So the getaway driver should have been charged. Well, why should the getaway? First of all, the getaway driver didn't realize she was a getaway driver for a shooting that just happened against Nipsey Hussle, where her car was parked. She had no line of sight of what happened, what was going on. She heard the gunshots, but she had no idea what happened. So if a person has no idea what's going on, they are completely ignorant of the circumstances surrounding them. What are you going to charge them with? What are you going to charge them with? There's not a crime that exists that you can charge Bernita Nicholson with. Have you pursued an interview with Miss Nicholson? I have not pursued an interview with Miss Nicholson. I have no way of getting in touch with Miss Nicholson, but I would do it if she was interested. She'd have to call me up. She'd have to reach out to me if she wanted to do an interview. And my guess is she probably does not want to do an interview because she received so much hate from the general public. And whoever just said she should have been charged. That's the reason why you guys will probably never get an interview with Bernita Nicholson because you guys are calling her the getaway driver. So a getaway driver, that term getaway driver, that person has to be a part of the crime. They have to have knowledge of what's going on. If their role is the getaway driver, like if someone was the getaway driver for a bank robbery, they're clearly part of the bank robbery. But she was not a part of this offense. She was not a part of the crime. Eric didn't say to her, I'm about to go shoot Nipsey right now. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'm about to shoot him. She didn't, none of that was discussed with her. So let's hear what y'all got to say. Prolific says she was 100% accomplice. Well, unfortunately, you're 100% wrong on that. She would have got charged by the LAPD. John McKinney would have wanted to prosecute her. John McKinney did an interview with her. The LAPD detectives did an interview with her. Two LAPD detectives interviewed her. And we're talking about seasoned detectives that got at least 25 years, almost 30 years each. John McKinney interviewed her for probably 2 or 3 hours. And they've concluded three grown men who probably have, let's say, 30, 25, that's 55, and let's say 15, 55, 65, 70 years combined experience in their field concluded that she was not a part of the crime. And then after I looked at everything, I've been examining criminal court cases for 22 years. I determined she had nothing to do with it. So, no, she was not an accomplice. Jazz Stroke said Liv told her not to talk. Oh my gosh. Those are lies, y'all. I don't even know who Jazz Stokes. Jazz Stokes reported to Crime Stoppers. She picked up Eric Holder. You know, anybody can get on the phone and call Crime Stoppers and say anything. You know, those people have a job of sifting through the bull and realizing what's true. Do you know that whenever tips come in for an offense, whenever tips come in, 80% of those tips don't even pan out? Something crazy. The number of tips that are BS, they're designed to throw off the investigation. They're designed to mislead. They don't pan out to anything. So we can't, you cannot base your conclusions of a crime on a call to Crime Stoppers. It is it's absolutely ridiculous. Anybody have some real legitimate questions? Do you have a copy of her interview with the police? If you want the interview with the police, you'd have to actually do a FOIL request because the defense didn't find anything useful in that interview except for like that small clip that I released. The prosecution didn't really find anything useful to use in terms of prosecuting Eric Holder. Both sides didn't really find a whole lot of value in it. So the only part that was used was that small clip that you can go to my channel and watch it. If you want to see the whole 4.5 hours, like this is an episode of the first 48, you can request it and watch the whole thing. All right, let me see what else y'all got here. This is getting a little more on the ridiculous side. It's amazing as an investigative journalist how dismissive you are of evidence. The only evidence in this case, by the way, the only evidence in this case is what is presented by the prosecution and what is presented by the defense. Outside of that, it's not considered evidence. If we're talking, you know, if we're going to be more specific on what evidence means, So yeah, I mean, as an investigative journalist, you do have to dismiss certain things. You do have to say this is ridiculous. Every time you investigate something, you have a pile called ridiculous, and you put that stuff to the side in that ridiculous pile. You might come back to the ridiculous pile, but for the most part, that stuff stays there, and it's garbage. It's basura for the most part. So yeah, you should dismiss, I guess, evidence. We're gonna put it in air quotes. The evidence are the witnesses that come into court and testify. The evidence are the exhibits that are presented in court. That's the evidence. Alex, what would be your dream interview? Oh, that's you caught me off guard on that. What would be my dream interview? I don't know. You'd have to ask me that again, Tone. Whatever happened to guilty by association? I know of people doing time for less. Give me the name of someone prolific that's in prison right now that was found guilty for just being with someone that did a crime, for not participating in the crime, for not having prior knowledge of the crime, because that person is entitled to get out of prison. Yeah, they used to do that to a lot of people in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. They don't do it now, especially in California. California got rid of that felony murder rule. They got rid of the quite a few rules, and those rules prevent people like Bernita Nicholson from being charged. It prevents the person that's standing right next to someone that did a crime from being charged. So in other states, maybe that still happens, but in the state of California, you can't do that. What happened with you calling the Shell gas station footage complete? The last portion where many speculated Cowboy running through Nip's pockets was redacted. I didn't redact anything from the video. I took the video straight from the evidence room in the courthouse and posted it. If they redacted it, I mean, they didn't redact it. Maybe it was edited down. I don't know. But I put up a whole 30 something minutes. Let me look it up. Let me look up how many minutes that video is. And let me just check the battery on my camera because I don't got it plugged in. Hey, y'all. My battery is about to die. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna charge this battery up, and we're gonna come back here and address all these questions because this camera is gonna cut off probably in the next 5 minutes, and I don't want it to cut off. I didn't intend on being here for more than 30 minutes, but I wanted to address that question about the completeness of the footage and any other questions you guys might have. Do you think the family should have requested the autopsy photos to be sealed? I mean, they can. All right, so I'm gonna have to charge this battery up, and then I'm gonna tap back in. Let me tap back in. Come back in about 20 minutes, and we'll address any of these questions. Give me 20 minutes to charge this battery. I'm not in my office. I'm not at the studio. I'm just at home doing this update on what happened in court. So I don't have any of my studio equipment here. So I'm gonna tap back in about 20 minutes.